This show is part of the Transpodcaster Visibility Initiative.
Lumzer, I'm bored. What plaything do you have for me this evening?
Something out of the SK system, ma'am. It is not much, but it is what the local main species tends to have, and that is the odd satisfaction of waiting for their Kickstarter
Ooh,
and
Kickstarters.
meeting. Yes, um, taking this off now.
Go for it.
That is, I'll have the main video on my YouTube channel, links down below when it gets posted on YouTube, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just that this one right here, this what I have in my hand, 1 year, 2 months. I put it like this. I put in for this order, this Kickstarter, March 2021, and I just got it last week.
Wow, 2 years.
Shock and Terror with Sasha, the Princess of Darkness, and Chris, the Martinsburg Madman, in Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness, reboot.
So if you haven't already figured it out by now, you're listening to Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness, with yours cruelly, Sasha Constantine Monroe, aka Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. And with me, of course, as always, is the Martinsburg Madman himself, Christopher Lumzer from the Longcoat Mafia podcast. So today we got some interesting news here, Chris. So,
For the folks at home trying to do the whole DVD thing.
boop, boop, boop. People probably don't remember those. We're getting to that age. But yeah, so much like if there's a Bigfoot sighting in Boggy Creek, Arkansas, people are going to Midlothian, Virginia. Do you know why?
Mothman?
No, ChrisChan.
Damn it! ChrisChan.
Yep, apparently they are out of jail. It has been confirmed that they're in some sort of group home. Apparently they were seen recently out at Walmart.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you. I saw a video in regards to that someone did that was an update, kind of like what we're doing right now. It was not being a troll. The person doing the video was, and again, doing what we're doing, just giving an update of what ChrisChan was doing, and I'm sure it's the same information that you heard. They
Yep.
were at Walmart shopping. Good chance they were
But it
dropped
came
off.
from several sources. We're not talking
Right.
about one individual person. Several different people had cited ChrisChan and got pictures of Christine Chandler while they were shopping in Walmart. That had pretty much an itinerary of everything that was in their cart. Big mentions were made that, oh no, they bought a Nintendo Switch, that they have a Nintendo Switch while they were in prison, and it's like, please, like the cops wouldn't have pocketed that. And oh yeah, I got damaged, it's gone now, sorry, you know. But yeah, everybody's just kind of waiting with a bated breath. But the trolls are now going into Midlothian.
They're doing that. They're acting like paparazzi to bug him, and all that. Some people have asked, from what the video said, and it's like, why would he be allowed to, get a Nintendo? I'm like,
who cares?
As somebody who has, yeah, you're right. Who cares? Two, as somebody, granted, like he's not supposed to have internet. You don't really to play something like because he is a she.
I've been just using
They are big Pokemon fans. If they want to play, you don't really need an internet connection to play something like Pokemon or, Super Mario, whatever they wish to play on the system. But as somebody who was in the hospital for 2 weeks, granted that was going on 3 years ago, you get bored pretty damn quick. So you need something to at least entertain yourself. And if they have the funds and they were allowed to get a Nintendo Switch, because we do not know what restrictions they have issued upon them,
right?
Then let them play Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
And
it's not like they went out and bought a new PC. It's not like,
right.
You know, they had basic essentials in their cart aside from a source of entertainment. And to me,
Right.
it's like, what worries me is now, like I said, making the reference to cryptid hunters. Everybody's flocking down to Midlothian to see, and it's like, just let them be. You know,
And one of the other
that's going to get them kicked out of that home if everybody starts hounding them. And yeah, it's going to put undue pressure not only on ChrisChan, it's going to put undue pressure on the other residents in that home.
Right. And one of the things that the video showed and was talking about is like some of the other photos that was taken of ChrisChan was that at, I guess, a hobby place near them, and they were playing Pokemon at this shop. Again, you need entertainment. ChrisChan is a known Pokemon lover.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, if on the cheap, and granted, getting a new Switch is an expense, but besides the initial expense or getting enough packs of cards to start a new Pokemon deck, are they harming anybody? No, they're having fun. It's entertaining. It might actually get them out of the home. You know, it's like since even though a lot of what happened to ChrisChan was posted on YouTube, et cetera, we don't really know what what their personality is behind closed doors, especially in this group home, in this halfway house, whatever it is. And allowing ChrisChan to have a Switch or go to a hobby shop to play Pokemon, it might be just like giving I don't mean it in a bad way, it may be equivalent of giving a child an iPad or a child a tablet and just like, you know what, take this, that way I have some quiet time, you know. Yeah. Oh, you want to go play Pokemon, go play. Oh, you want to go to a hobby shop and play Pokemon? Okay, we'll do that. If that gets you out of my hair for 2 or 3 hours, go ahead and do that. And that could be one thing. Plus, it as we said the last time, ChrisChan is autistic, and sometimes regular things are comforting for somebody who's autistic, and him probably again folks at home,
we don't really know what their pronouns are.
So I just want to be respectful. So that the home allowing them to play Pokemon, going out to play Pokemon, having a Nintendo Switch to play Pokemon may keep them more on a normal level, I think might be the proper terminology for it. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to fully grasp everything, but still.
And not only that, you know, it's not just them at the home. And these are people that are trying to be reacclimated to society. That's why they're in a group home or a shelter or wherever they're trying to be reacclimated. And if people are going to act like a paparazzi and hound any one of them, you're affecting all of them.
Right. And we don't know what kind of, or I wouldn't say what kind, how the other folks at that home might take things. There could be a few cases that, granted, a lot of the photos I saw in that video, it was just concentrating on ChrisChan. But
there was an older guy caught that was apparently loaded in with the van as well. That was in a number of pictures, and that could be a problem too. You know?
What I mean by that is that I've worked with a few folks that were autistic, and sometimes it's hard. Though it's hard to tell what's going through the mind of somebody who's autistic, but sometimes they like to feel included in normality. And if ChrisChan is getting all this attention, and if they get snapped to, hey, I'm getting attention too. I feel special now too. So you don't know how that's full, like you said, how it's going to fully affect everybody else. It could be a positive thing. It could be a negative thing. You don't know. Everybody has to kind of be on. It's going to be thin ice. It's going to be eggshells for the next God knows how long.
Right. And that's the thing. I think that's my biggest thing. It was like when we first had the conversation regarding ChrisChan. Basically my whole point of view is like, I don't excuse what they did or didn't do. I don't excuse what the trolls did or didn't do. I just know that there's a lot of people that need to be held accountable, and there's a lot of people who are exacerbating the problem when they shouldn't have been. I mean, I honestly, in my opinion, and keep in mind, it's just my opinion, but if the whole lol cow phenomenon wasn't such a thing as it is, and people didn't just kept exacerbating the situation to get reaction and laughs, things probably wouldn't have gotten as bad as they have. I've seen the internet do great things for other people, but then there are times when you see something like this and you're like, yeah, a person's only responsible up to a certain point, but this is somebody who already has mental health challenges. It's not hard to make them do something that they probably shouldn't
do. Yeah.
You know,
and especially if they don't have the proper support system in their life. It's all negativity and trolls.
And people pretending to be their friend to get a reaction.
Right. It's not like, I won't say normality. If you have a bunch of folks that are in their life that would be in this scenario saying, yo, ChrisChan, they're dicking with you. Don't know. It's not, to get them back on par. They're trolling you. They're doing anything, or don't react to it. And when in this case, the louder voice is that the trolls, ChrisChan, I guess, again, like last time we stated, the trolls were the louder one. Then you had to listen and react, where the quieter voices were, no, calm down, don't do this, don't. And it was just the greater majority that they were listening to than the minority. And there is a condition that some people might have, and that is they would listen to somebody that might either hold or has a position of power, or has that air of position of power.
Right.
Some people who I was told that I had this conversation with somebody. It could apply to this as well. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Folks out there, if you want to leave a comment saying I'm wrong and tell me how I'm wrong. It was somebody that I was talking to this person in regards to sexual assault victims, and I told them, just overviewed with what happened between me and my ex, and that person said, "Yeah, it sounds like it's like, I don't know." She said, "I don't know the situation, but it sounds like a lot of folks in her life were coming from, talked her into that they were coming from a position of power." She said, "I'm not saying you were doing that, but it was the wrong end of the stick that was convincing her. And because she didn't have the positive reinforcement to say, no, get your shit and leave, get it yourself out of there." Or if she was being told that, it was the minority. And she said a lot of sexual assault victims have that aspect of, that come from trauma. They have the aspect of, I'm going to listen to somebody that has power. Oh, my father has power. So therefore, or in a way, a parental figure has power, a therapist has power, an older brother has power. If that whole dynamic is toxic and that person's listening to those toxic aspect and toxic people in power, then the folks that might be coming into their life that want them to be healthy, better, and do good, they're not really going to listen, because though listening to somebody in power, it can be good. They're listening to wrong people in power, because those in power are toxic. Meaning 6 out of 10 of the people in power that person is listening to are toxic, and therefore, in the majority, that's where that person's mindset. So ChrisChan, if that condition is happening to him, with the whole aspect of, or the other variable being them being autistic, again, it's that compound issue.
Right.
I can be completely wrong in this. So again, folks in the comments, please see if I'm right, if I'm wrong.
Right. And to me, at the end of the day, it's like, just let it be. They've done
Right.
whatever they've done. Damage is done. Anything more that's done is going to exacerbate the problem. And hopefully the group home, or at least the people running the group home, are kind of informed of this and are somewhat aware as to what's going on. I just hope that doesn't limit anybody's visitation or anything of that nature, like going out and getting things that they need. But it's intriguing because it's a special case.
It is a special case, and in this case, they have, instead of, if everything that was said in the past was, let's say, true, true, that the only other person in ChrisChan's life was his mother, that was allegedly suffering from dementia. Therefore, they didn't have that positive, to go and kind of, again, back up with what I was talking about, that positive person of power in their life. Therefore, they were listening to all the trolls. In this environment, they could have that positive, like, no, don't listen to them, and just removing ChrisChan from that toxicity. It can also be that barrier between the trolls and ChrisChan, so that way, if stuff does get through, it's, instead of it being 8 out of 10 toxicity, it could be closer to 2, and they could deal with the 2. And like, no, see, it's only 2. It's only 2 people. We're here to help you. These people are here to help you. If you have the white knights that are there, hey, here's, we want to see him get better. Here's a couple extra bucks if he wants to get some Pokemon cards and have some fun, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That way, if you want some books or some drawing paper or some clay, that way he has some, something to do. Then, therefore, they let that positivity in, into his life. And if it's care pack, like if ChrisChan likes chocolate chip cookies, for example, they're sending them Chips Ahoy,
right,
stuff.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that everybody that follows this situation is bad, but I'm saying the majority of people have been, and given the history of Chris and everything that's gone on and their background, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, the whole lolcow trend, it's like most of the people I've seen that's become lolcows have some sort of mental health challenge. I don't like to use the word disability. I never have. I prefer the term challenge, because we all have challenges in our life,
Right.
And this is something that, for whatever reason, people were targeting. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that German guy I told you about that literally got kicked out of his home and it got demolished. It's intense.
Not yet. I got to. I probably completely forgot. It's been one hell. Folks at home will be probably getting into that in a little bit, but it's been one hell of a week. It's been a hell of a few weeks. So
yeah, it's been one hell of a week.
Sasha
I'm sitting here stirring the pot. Bubble.
Bubble. It's like,
Speaking,
why am I hearing, hey, 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 what's going on? Weird, folks. If you don't know that, me, it's the whole aspect of that chef from the He-Man video too. What's going on?
yep. So, speaking of things going on, people that are familiar with KISS, or as I like to call it, ICP for boomers. Paul Stanley recently, of course, being of a certain generation, decided to go on Twitter and kind of say some pretty transphobic thing about trans kids and affirming trans care and things of that nature. Which I will say, I will give him credit, even though it's a half-assed apology. I'll take a half-assed apology over no-ass apology. He did backtrack on it, because apparently, I guess Paul Stanley has some sort of handlers and agents and managers or something saying, you've opened up a can of worms, shut up, back off, get away from that, you're too close to the edge. But his buddy Dee Snider, unfortunately, did not. Now, keep in mind that this is a guy from Twisted Sister, who is very famous for, well, let's be frank, adopting cross-dressing attitudes towards punk rock music, and backed up Paul Stanley. And even though Paul has retracted his statements, Dee has stand firm and has said that he's going to double down on this. And he's like, but I am an ally. And he kept hinting that he was going to announce something. Well, Mama Sash, being who she is, and some other trans advocates and activists are like, huh, why is he so cocksure that he's still an ally with us when he's saying this crap? And so we found out by a little digging that he was going to not only perform at San Francisco Pride, but also be a grand marshal. And knowing certain people, and a bunch of us got together and happened to reach out to San Francisco Pride. And so before he could announce it, San Francisco Pride announced that, no, we're not going to have him as a grand marshal anymore. We had considered it, but due to his support of transphobic statements, we are no longer supporting and counseling his shows. Now, you'd think, as an individual, Dee would be smart enough to go, okay, I fucked up. I need to shut up at this point. But now, he's calling trans people intolerant. And I'm just like, hold up. So your friend said some fucked up shit. You supported the fucked up shit. You got consequences for said fucked up shit. And now you're blaming somebody else for being intolerant for your own intolerance. As I always personally say, tolerance, at least in my opinion, is a social contract. Those who adhere to it are protected by it. But those who intentionally do not adhere to it, your ass is grass. The only intolerance, simply put, that should exist is against intolerance itself.
I'll say this. I know folks at home, Sasha's the first and foremost person that'll call me out of my shit on certain things and everything else. And she's more than welcome to that. That's one of the reasons probably I'm on her show.
Exactly.
And hopefully I'm able to do the same thing with Sasha. I'll say this in regards to Twitter. Twitter is one of those platforms where
I'm just getting a soda.
It's hard to convey nuance. It's hard to convey context in a lot of ways because, granted, they went past the whole aspect of 140 characters. It's still kind of hard to convey nuance. And therefore, with what happened with, what was his name, Peter?
Paul, but Paul apologized.
Paul. So therefore, he probably realized, and his handle is like, you're probably trying to convey he probably clarified with his handles like, yeah, that's not what was being conveyed in your tweets. Therefore, pull back and apologize. Because though I'm one of the folks that, yeah, if a child is going through or hits puberty, and they have that aspect of, I don't feel like I'm part of the norm, meaning the baseline norm. Meaning if I'm a male and I like females, or if I'm a female and I like gals, female if I like guys.
But here's the thing, and I'm just going to make sure we add this subclause before you go further. People that identify as cisgender, let's take, for example, children born without testicles that are assigned male at birth and they're born without testicles. Children that are born at birth that are assigned female at birth and are born without ovaries. Those people would get gender affirming care, such as they would get hormones for the corresponding gender based on
just to clarify,
based on what their doctors or psychologists or anything like that would say after approval to take care of that issue. So even people and it's not just trans people, even cis people get gender affirming care. And a lot of these laws out there is not just going to affect people like me, they're going to affect everybody. And that's where the problem comes into play.
Now, hopefully, if I'm trying to be on the same page as Sasha, we're talking probably folks that have been probably born a male, have been genetically tested with a XY chromosome, but born without
the corresponding
testicles, corresponding organs, and vice versa, and thus getting the proper medicine for that. And therefore, just to clarify, and yes, that's fine and dandy. Where I might have an issue with is whether or not Sasha is going to agree with me or not. It's just that when some folks are saying, you know what, my child, what might be, for the lack of a better terminology and everything, might be genetically and biologically a boy, he or she likes Barbie dolls. So therefore, I'm going to give them this medicine because I want them to be a girl. No, I'm like, no, please at least wait until they're in puberty. Let them decide then, because children that are not, that might be 4, 5, even 2 years old, don't know who they are yet.
Exactly.
Let them, hit puberty. Let them hit, let them be at least 18. If they choose that they don't, if they are in the age of puberty, let's say granted with biological gals, it could be as early as 11, but between 12 and 18, they feel that I don't feel like I should be a girl, I should be a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Then yes, parents should say, okay, when you become closer to 18, we'll go with that route, but we support you.
And that's actually how that's working right now. That's how the law is. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Because when we say gender affirming care, it's not always medication and it's not always surgery, except for somebody that's intersex, meaning possessing both sexes, which does happen. Then at certain times, can a procedure be made? Honestly, I think they should wait until puberty, even in that. But the thing of it is that there's a number of factors. Age, you got to have a complete medical background, meaning nobody's doing this right off the bat. You've got to be seen by so many physicians, from endocrinologists and things of that nature, right from the bat, even if it's something you were born with, that's a genetic problem, and you have to see psychologists. So these are people that are getting it, and just talking to doctors and talking to psychologists, that's also considered gender affirming care, which these laws attack. And
I think there's also the aspect of when you see some news outlets, whether it be Fox, CNN, or stations that are like that, even some probably YouTubers, they're pointing out I want to say on both sides, the extremes, meaning they'll see somebody that's on the trans side of things saying, I'm going to give my kid at 6 years old medication as puberty block. But the thing is, and you might have some folks that are part of the trans community. It's like, even if I can't in the States, I'm going to go someplace else where I can get that stuff and do it.
And that's illegal.
That's what, and yeah, and the thing is, some far right folks are seeing that and they're pointing that out, and you have some folks in some of your circles saying, hey, and since it goes from one extreme to the other, and all of a sudden you have mix-ups, and someone like Paul picks up on something like that, not getting the full context in the story, says something, and that's where
my grievance
you might have
isn't with Boomer ICP. My grievance is with the butt buddy that even after the apology, even after hearing everything from a medical perspective, a psychological perspective, a very unbiased, non-researched bias point of view, still holds to their guns. And it's like, you know, and this is a person who got their kid a tattoo at 16.
And well, in some states you can get a minor can get a tattoo with a permission of an adult. This is here in West Virginia. I pass by a tattoo shop on the daily if I'm going on in downtown daily. They put up a sign saying, yeah, if the person is 16, they can get a tattoo with authorization of the parent. But if the person is, for the sake of everything, biological female, meaning they are showing breasts and everything else, they will not do something on the breasts or in anything covered up by a bikini, due to the fact that these folks are still someone that is like under 18 is still considered a minor. But if they want to get a tattoo on their arm, that's okay.
But this is what I find
but this is completely different,
because there are people that have brought up cases where they're like, well, I know for a fact that they won't give a name, they won't give a location, they won't give any other information, that my cousin's sister's brother's best friend's kid, and it's like, no. And there's probably information that we're missing, such as I know recently there was a big deal made about a teenager that had to have their breasts removed due to cancer. But of course, the lead was buried and it was made a trans issue. And it's like, no, they had a mastectomy because there was cancer present, which can happen to anyone who develops breasts.
Anybody, right.
And to me, it's
but
like,
the thing is, this was kind
research,
of surprising.
You know?
Right. That's number one. Do your research. This was seeing your post about the Dee Snider situation on that, which was a little bit surprising to me, because some of the stuff that I've seen now, I don't follow Dee Snider on Twitter or anything like that. Twitter's a dumpster fire as it is, but in some of the things that I came across recently in regards to Dee Snider, he seemed a little bit more far left than I would have thought in years past. And I was like, wow, I didn't expect that Dee Snider to actually do something like that. You done fucked up.
Yep.
So,
and now he's surprised because, and this is what I talk to people about all the time. I'm like, at the end of the day, when it comes to these laws that are out there, they aren't just targeting people under the age of 18. They're targeting a whole community. They're trying to get rid of all body autonomy. Basically, where if you feel you need to have something done, no, that's not cool. Hell, there's politicians out there who came right out and said, don't care how young or old they are, we're going to eradicate trans people. And I'm just like, did I wake up in Nazi Germany?
That's why there are a lot of folks some of the folks that I even follow. I'm not talking. I'm not going to put them in the same boat as like, yeah, he could be a fuckhead, Steven Crowder. I'm not putting them in that boat, but some of the logical ones that I follow, they actually like, oh, this bill is being out there that a lot of folks are saying are anti-trans. Okay, they'll download before they even post a video. They'll download the bill and read the bill. If they look through the bill, see what it is, and like if one side is saying it is X, Y, and Z, and the other side is saying no, it's A, B, and C. It's like, no, this is what
the law is. Yeah,
what the law is. If it is completely, and they try to be at least fair. I'm not saying that they're neutral, but if someone like yourself, I'm not saying you personally, but if someone like yourself is no, saying like, no, that's where a lot of the diehard folks, maybe in your camp, say, no, you're being far. Like, they just said in the bill, in this clarification.
right.
Read download the bill, read it for yourself, prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Then
and read the verbatim of the law. And if you know for a fact, or you see like a newspaper article that says somebody under the age of 18 has had care done, do your research, and do your research as far as you can within the law. Do not dox people.
Right.
And especially do not dox minors, because that's even worse. But do your research, because keep in mind, there is a such thing known as research bias. And it would be like, if I am determined to prove something wrong, I already have a bias. I'm not going to weigh other options. You have to approach your research with an open mind. Like the old Dragnet episodes. Again, I'm showing my age. What did they? Right. What was the catchphrase for Dragnet?
The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
What was the one? What did the one cop said all the time whenever he was interviewing somebody?
I didn't want just the facts.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Journalism isn't like what it used to be 30 years ago. It isn't like what it used to be 40 years ago. It wasn't even like what it used to be 50 years ago. Nobody reports on the facts. Everybody has a bias nowadays, right off the bat. And so they're going to find, like, if you read any of these questionable headlines that are out there, they're there to grab eyeballs, kind of like what we do on YouTube, as terrible as it makes it sound, but we're not journalists, we're YouTubers.
We're YouTubers, we're podcasters, but are we in a way journalists?
No.
Yes, quasi. We're entertainment journalists.
We're journalists in the same vein that Weekly News, World and Report is.
Hey, I have some standards but I'm more of an entertainment reporter. I think at most Entertainment Tonight, if not Access Hollywood, but less TMZ than anything else. Despite the fact that we just talked about ChrisChan, but still, and Dee Snider. But
ChrisChan, let's be honest, when it came to ChrisChan, they are, as of right now, the most well-documented person on the earth.
Right.
Think about that for this sec. And it's debatable if ever, because this is somebody who's been on the internet and the news at such an early age. They were technically the first Let's Player. They used to do Animal Crossing videos. Trust me, that is a whole weird kettle of fish.
Like I said, next time we meet up face to face, not like this, I have, you already know the tale. I have to go in because we talk about ChrisChan, and there are a few things, heck, maybe even after, if you have time, that how it kind of correlates with everything else. I'm not going to put that information out here. I will not do that.
Well, you don't even want to know how I stumbled down that rabbit hole. It was a complete incident. Somebody was on one of my other pages, and they tried to compare me to ChrisChan. And me being old, I'm like, why am I being compared to this person? What the fuck's going on? Who is this? Whatever. And of course, I got called ancient for not knowing who this person was at the time. And I did a little research, and it was like, you know what they say when people are like, don't look? This is one of those situations where I looked, and I should have listened to Nietzsche a little bit more. I stared into that black void.
And the thing is, with me, it's like, when you brought up, say, hey, we're going to be talking about ChrisChan, this is the first time, like, who? Now, granted, I told you there's like some ordinary gamers might have talked about them real quick, or Repsion might have done a deep dive about them at one point. But other than that, it was just like, I'm not going to watch a, like a 40 or 15-minute video on, on somebody that I don't know that's already a dumpster fire.
I thought, but this is how dumb I was. I thought, because you know how like with a Wikipedia page, you'll get a brief summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no brief summary for ChrisChan. So. Even the brief summary is not brief. It just scrolls, and you're like...
But anyway, back to Dee Snider. Yeah, like I said, somebody who's kind of tried to champion, for those who don't know, yet I have the Twisted Sister not documented.
I love what he did with Congress back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. With that, and him going against Congress and the idiots that are there, and the whole aspect of
double down on something that Paul Stanley said, and then that was taken back, and to still double down, it's just like there's a reason he doubled down. And to me, it's like, dude, just shut up.
There's a time and a place to double down on something, but not, on other things, no.
The best way I can describe it, I know you were the type of kid growing up, probably went outside to play, and you probably had a neighbor dog where it was like, don't poke that neighbor dog, it'll bite you.
I wasn't there, but we had a living where I'm at now, there was a dog. It's like, you don't want to, poke that dog at all.
Yeah, but there's always that one stupid kid that pokes that dog.
Right.
And then says, oh no, it bit me. And it's like...
Well, I feel like this. What Dee Snider did was to double down on that. It was wrong. But on the positive side, to give you a little guys and gals out there, a little bit of a backstory. I lived in Long Island, New York. When I remember this today because it's the most, it's funny as hell. There's a 10th birthday. There's themed restaurants nowadays. They're from Maine to Florida, from Atlanta to LA. There's themed restaurants. This place was cowboy themed.
If we have to talk about Dee again, and I'm sorry to interrupt, it just popped into my head. I don't know if you saw that my eyeballs grew 3 times their size. Double down D or double D. That's how we're just going to refer to it.
But this place was, like I said, cowboy. Classic 10-gallon hat type of ordeal. Not only did the whole place double down on the cowboy theme, they doubled down on the double down. Best way to think of it is the equivalent of how Marty McFly looked. Kind of like how everybody that worked there kind of looked like Marty McFly in Back to the Future too.
Okay.
Like what's
Roy Rogers
3? Like that type of thing. Wall to wall. It's like they doubled down on the idea, but it worked. Please keep in mind this is coming from somebody who's remembering this as a 10-year-old. We got sat down near the manager's office, and this place is think the place was like called Big Tex or something like that, and their mascot was this guy that didn't have just a 10-gallon hat. It was a hat that the mascot looked like he was like maybe 6 foot tall, and the hat went down to his knees. So me as a 10-year-old thought logically that maybe this person's maybe a little bit taller than my dad. My dad was like 5'8" at the time. And I'm thinking maybe this dude's, the guy in the manager, because if you go to McDonald's, you think the manager is Ronald McDonald when you're 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
That was my logic as a 10-year-old. The manager looks like the dude in the, on the sign out front. He's going to have a very large hat, cowboy hat. No, out walks a dwarf, so a little person, someone that is the height of a 10-year-old.
I'm a little person. That's a dwarf.
No, someone like the looks of like comedian Brad Williams. Someone who's like 4 foot nothing, the height of a 10-year-old. I'm like, My
Billy
10-year-old, yeah, just like my head is just slipping gears, and I remember looking at my folks' faces to this day. They're like, "Don't say shit. Don't let them say shit. No. I hope to God we taught him enough by this point in his life that he's not going to say shit. He's not going to laugh. He's not going to do anything." But this guy comes up like, "Here, it's your birthday. We'll try to get something, piece of cake or whatever, a cookie or whatever it was that they had at the time or something like that." And like, "You having a good birthday?" To kind of quote Mr. Krabs, "You having a good day, son?" Sort of deal. And you're like, yeah, oh, great. I'll speak to the kitchen and see if they can makes a little something special for you. He walks up, and I'm like, I thought he'd be taller. And my folks are just starting to crack up laughing because, all right, you won today. You didn't say shit. We expected you to laugh, but that was just funny right there. We weren't picking on him because he was 4 foot nothing, but it's the whole scenario that it's like, well, I thought he was going to be like your height, Dad. It was, that sort of thing. It just blows, something like that just blows the mind of a 10-year-old, even though it's 6-year-old. So it's just one of those things. It's a good, something like that is, I wouldn't say like that, but having a themed restaurant that doubles down on an idea and doubles down on that works, especially if it makes the money and brings in more business. So that's why I've been keeping the beer.
Bring anybody more business,
right?
I don't think. I mean, you've already lost San Francisco Pride and my Grand Marshalship. It's like, keep pushing, see what else happens.
You're not going to get the desired result. It's not.
The dog already bit you, and now you're surprised. It's a bad dog. Why'd you poke it then?
Right.
It's like walking into the inner city and dropping certain, inward slur and being surprised that, they're mad at you.
Yeah. They just pull out the book and go, "What's your name, son?" It's like, "What's your name? You're not on the list of approved people that are allowed to say this word in this area. So your ass is grass."
Yeah.
So.
And then afterwards they're intolerant. It's like, stop, pause.
Stop.
Is what it is. But yes, that has been the interesting drama of late. So I've gotten a lot of views because of it, and I found it very humorous. But anyways, so let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Here's the thing. I gotta pull up here's something that Sasha probably does. I'm pulling up show notes. Did it? Yep. There we go. I type up notes on my phone, save it as draft, so I can have at least some access when we talk about shit. So, Evil Dead Rise. Despite some saying it's X, Y, and Z, I kind of enjoyed it, and a lot. It's the amount of practical part of it. It's just what got me is it didn't start out as I expected. I was like, why is it starting out here? But it explained itself, which allowed me to, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now it's explaining itself. The sound usage, I was watching, it's like, wow, it's playing all the nods to how Sam Raimi did shit, how the camera usage and some of the movements and the over exaggeration on certain things. It wasn't until it's because mostly because I was trying to get popcorn and a drink, and everybody out front of the theater was at the concession stand was I don't know what I'm like, wait a minute. Theater sells only 4 things: candy, drink, popcorn, and pretzels. How do you not know what you want right now? But get your crap and go. Get out of line, let everybody else get their crap and go see a movie. I have a movie that's starting like now. Get out of line. Let me do my order. But no. But it wasn't until when the credits start to roll, it said, hey, executive producers is Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. And I was like, now that it explains half the stuff that was in there that I was watching. And it was just a pleasant surprise in regards to it. But it also, one of the things I noted was that it seemed to take some cues in some spots, like it was taking cues from Left 4 Dead and The Shining, some of the style aspects to it with certain things.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like it had a Left 4 Dead and Shining style to it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it had those type of styles. What I mean by Left 4 Dead, for those who played the game, you have with one of the zombies is called a witch. It's just the character, that particular zombie, just sitting in the middle of the hallway and just kind of rocking back and forth, crying. And that's what it was like. That's it just reminds me of a witch from Left 4 Dead. It's just that possessed character is just sitting in the middle of the hallway, just rocking back and forth, crying, or just being quiet. And you're like, that's not right. I played Left 4 Dead to know that ain't right. Give that bitch a wide berth, that sort of thing. Another one is like it had the feel of watching The Shining,
the blood
Stan Kubrick type, the blood elevator. That was the main thing. To me, it's like I like movies because it has different aspects, and it's like, to me, the therapy it had a therapy moment, meaning that whole aspect. It's like I typed, it's like therapy moment questions, which is a priority in regards to therapy, more of a priority therapy moment. It's like, what do you go see? What's more important when you finally go see therapy? A, the fact that you stabbed your sister in the head, or B, the fact that your sister, after stabbing her in the head, she got up.
For me, the best way I can describe the movie is, because I actually enjoyed was it 2013 that the remake came out?
Yeah.
I enjoyed the remake because there was a lot of the DNA in there, and I hate to say it, it's not a remake if you pay attention. The 88 Delta's there. Ash does show up in the credits. So technically it's a requel. It's a sequel.
And that's one of the things is, as I saw in a lot of the interviews or some of the stuff that I saw, they said, no, this is not it. It's kind of a third movie in the series, because Sam's movie it's in its own right. The reboot was its own movie in its own right, and this is its own movie in its own right. And they kind of backed that up in the movie itself, saying that there were at least 3 known volumes.
Right.
And I'm like, it explains the interviews I'm saying that the Sam Raimi movies is one book. The book that was found in essence, the reboot, if you want to call it, is a different book. And this is a completely different book upon itself. So it's that whole wonderful aspect to things. And
well,
I enjoyed it.
Something that I think was interesting, a lot of people miss. There is a Delta 88 in the parking garage in the movie, and the voice on the record, the priest that you hear speaking, is none other than the man, the Chin himself, Bruce Campbell. He is the priest on the record, and a lot of people don't realize that. In fact, he's in the picture that they show. That's Daddy Bruce.
I said I enjoyed that it had a lot of practical effects, and what got me is like, granted, we're talking about spoilers and all that, but still, it's the aspect of hearing the actual nods to the Sam Raimi stuff, the come get some line that the main character says, Dead by Dawn,
join us,
and join us, these lines. And when I saw it makes it sound like I'm making as a ding. It's not. It's like when I saw the chainsaw, I was like, of course there's a chainsaw. There's got to be a chainsaw in this.
As soon as I saw the wood chipper, I was like, yeah, that's getting used.
Right. Kind of same here. And it was, but still, it's like the whole aspect of, yeah, there's got to be a chainsaw. It's nothing. It's not an Evil Dead film without a chainsaw. But my only bitch, my only complaint about this movie is not with the movie. It was with the freaking crowd behind me. That's it. The peanut gallery behind me. Because it's just that the tweens behind me, or the under 18 crowd, or the 18 crowd, the under 20 crowd, thinking that this movie, granted, Evil Dead's always been a horror comedy, but them thinking, it's kind of like the issue I had with the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Everybody in the theater thinking that it's a fucking joke. It's a horror movie, and they're like laughing it up. Oh, somebody got stabbed. Dude, it's a horror movie, man. Why are you laughing at somebody getting stabbed? And that whole aspect. That's what pretty much that they were doing. And not to mention one of the folks that was saying by me, it's like they were complaining, it's like talking about how they got I guess when the mom got possessed, they got her out and they locked the door, and they were pretty much like, oh, that the aunt and the kids are a bunch of bitch. Their quote, this was their quote, a bunch of bitch ass pussies.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, it's like these are probably the same kids if they hear about a drive-by or something in the news, or if God forbid a school shooting, they'd be like coming out as all badass. But yet, if it happened to them in their environment, they'd be pissing their own pants. They'll be crying like a little fucking baby, and they go from this trying to be this badass mofo to this whiny little diaper-wearing baby themselves. And there's that part of you that wants to be there when that happens. Like, remember back in that movie when you said the folks in that film were a bunch of bitch ass pussies? Who's the bitch ass pussy now?
Exactly.
And again, it's like I enjoyed the film as an Evil Dead fan. I like what they did. I like how it didn't. That's part of when I saw the whole aspect of the cabin in the woods when it started. Like, don't tell me, it's like, wait a minute, why is it starting like at chapter 4 when it should, where, everything else, and the whole, hey, instead of it being in the woods, it's going to be in an apartment complex, and not just the apartment complex, just this one floor. And they expanded it to that. It kind of spread, and it kind of let you know, it's like, okay, here's the connection. Thus, the book ends. Pun possibly intended in regards to how it started, and it ended how it kind of started. It gives you that, yeah, we know what we did in the beginning. There's a reason for it. Here's the reason. Here's how it kind of starts. And it's just wonderful. I love how they took things, the practical, everything was just well done.
Well, we went to see it at Warehouse Cinema, and I think it's funny that you mentioned concessions because, Warehouse, more of an upscale kind of like movie theater, because you can get food, you can get high-end concessions. They have a bar. So we went to the bar to get a couple beers because, Al and I were going to go see the movie, date night. And I figured, well, I'll get a Purple Haze. Well, while I'm ordering a Purple Haze, which is a craft beer, I had saw it. They had Liquid Evil, and Al saw it out of the corner of his eye and was like, ooh, well, they've got this drink themed for the movie. And basically the drink was pomegranate syrup, tequila, triple sec, grenadine, rimmed with blackened sugar, and quote unquote eyeballs, which were made out of lychee, like that like that hard candy with blueberries in the middle of them. And we got 2 of those. We got our beers, and then we got a large popcorn. The movie was so good, I didn't even know I had 2 beers, or I had a beer, a drink, and a popcorn until the credits started rolling, because I was that glued. And to me, that's an amazing movie to occupy my attention. It hit all the notes of the Evil Dead franchise. It did its own things, which I think it should have done, like from the setting being an urban setting, different types of characters. Definitely really played up the family aspect, whereas the first Evil Dead movie only kind of touched on it. And I think the only disappointing thing I had was that it was kind of hinted at, like the only way to end this cycle was with the sacrifice of innocence. And to me, I thought they were going to either go 2 dark ways with this. Either the youngest child would sacrifice itself, or the main character would have to sacrifice her baby. And to me, that would have made the movie completely hardcore. It didn't go there, but it was hinted at. I'm kind of like, I want to see if there's other scripts that went that direction, or if there'll be a director's cut that went that direction.
Or deleted scenes or something like that in regards to that. But like I said, I enjoyed it. There was a lot of good aspects to it. It went to the line. Did it cross it? No. But I'm sure to kind of step back, because we were initially going to talk about Bruce Campbell in the previous episode. I'm sure you heard what he did at a screening of Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah,
somebody pretty much I'm not talking about, you said if Sam does a movie, he's going to be a part of it. Somebody heckled the movie, and he called them out on it.
Yep.
And at that point, I was like, I'm not sure what his response to it. I think he just I remember seeing an article about that. Somebody heckled it, and he called them out on it and spoke up, and he pretty much had the movies back. Well, that was before I knew he was an executive producer on the film.
He was on Twitter recently, and somebody had made the Twitter comment. They were like, "Love Evil Dead Rise," but at the end of the day, I still miss Ash. And Bruce requote tweeted that, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to miss him too," and with a little wink, smiley face. And it's like, all right, now you're teasing us. There's already been announced an animated series that'll follow up after Ash versus Evil Dead, the TV series. So we're getting an animated show.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, so, I'm kind of hoping now that Warner Brothers kind of holds the rights, I'm kind of hoping that it'll be done by Warner Animation and that it'll be good.
That's the thing. It's like Warner Animation does a bang up job with the DC animated universe. So you're going to have some quality animation in regards to that. Just that they have to stick with that high level animation with it. Yeah, but it's also Evil Dead, so they could go corny with it and still it'll probably work.
Hey, it's Warner Brothers. They could have all kinds of crazy crossovers. I could see the Scooby gang going to the cabin in the woods.
That's what I'm saying. They could have, and it'll work because it's the Evil Dead franchise, and it's anything goes, anything stinking goes. And just that if they write it the right way, they can in essence pull a Supernatural, what they did with that, and it will work. It will work somehow.
Now, isn't it interesting though that this new Evil Dead movie is Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers effectively is the rights holder for Friday the 13th, and that recently certain people came forward and says, yes, canonically speaking, Jason Voorhees is a Deadite. Kind of makes you wonder, are we finally going to get a crossover that's been promised to us since Jason Goes to Hell?
Wasn't that the whole aspect of they made that comic book in regards to it versus Ash? Yeah, I want to see it.
Well, Jason Goes to Hell was originally scripted as Jason versus Ash. That's why the Necronomicon and the Kandarian dagger make appearances. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Oh, somebody get Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, and somebody play Jason.
No, there's only one person to play Jason, and we all know who that is. You know, the big guy.
Yeah.
The only Jason, the only good Jason. You know, from Jason X, and I want to say he was also Jason Goes to Hell, Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder.
And I want to say,
great guy.
Wasn't he also the one like from Jason Lives? No, not Jason Lives. That's the fake Jason. What's the other one? Where the first appearance of Jason as a zombie.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Gets erected by Tom Matthews' version of Corey Haim's original character.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the movie that you're talking about, but I just don't remember the number.
I just pulled footage from it for another project.
I want to say 5 or 6 or something like that.
It's got to be 6. I just can't think. It's either Jason Lives or something of that nature. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know there's a bunch of Friday the 13th fans out there saber rattling at me. Like I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. Okay. But no,
hey, don't knock it. I'm still pissed that Night of the Comet is not on Voodoo.
Do we and that's just need a copy? Because
no, I think I have a copy somewhere around here. It's just I just want it to be part of my digital collection as well. That's all. Just one of those things.
And correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong, but I know Scream and Shout Factory released Night of the Comet, and I want to say it came with a digital copy. I just don't know who it streamed through, and that may be the only way to get it on whatever streaming platform it's through. I'll research more and get you info.
Yeah, hopefully I can find it, and hopefully if it's not. The thing is with some digital copies that it's a downloadable digital copy. It's not like, oh, we're going to have this on Shout, or it's going to be on Tubi, or it's going to be on Amazon. It's a downloadable aspect.
Well, and I know with like, if for example, you got like a free copy for like Movies Anywhere, that you can link Movies Anywhere to Vudu. And the same way with YouTube.
Yeah.
That's why
check Movies Anywhere.
It would run Mary Hobb if you're using my Vudu account, because I think on the Vudu account I have season 2 of Chucky, but my YouTube account has season 1. I don't know if you're seeing both. If you're not, let me know and I'll fix it.
But either way. But I'll have to check and I'll have to get back to you on that.
But anyways, loved Evil Dead. Recommend that you go see it. I'm quite sure, Madman here agrees with me.
Yeah, go see it. I'll probably, once I have the funds for it, definitely probably going to be picking up digitally.
It's already over 100 mil for money back in, so that's good. That looks good for a potential sequel. I just hope Warehouse carries that drink for a while because it was really good, or at least they give me the full recipe because it was good. The only downside is it made my lips and my tongue all black from the blackened sugar. Looked like I was eating charcoal. But awesome. So anyways, we had saw the movie because we were in Hagerstown for 4-State Comic-Con, and I know you got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I know Sasha's going to say her thoughts on it. Just that with 4-State Comic-Con this year, on my end, I love going every year. I've been a part of 4-State since its inception, when it was the
Retro Pop and
horror show. When it was like the horror show in Winchester, then it became 4-State Pop Culture Show up by you in Waynesboro. And so in essence, since 2016, I've been going. And that's how I eventually came to know you, came to know George, came to know the Khan family. That's been hitting up 4State for the past 7 years, 7 years. And I was looking forward to, at least this year, going on Sunday. I eventually did go on Sunday. But I know a few weeks prior to the event, I messaged a buddy of mine, hey, is the offer for a ride still open for 4State? Because I know him and his family wanted to go up. And he said, yeah, I'll get you. This was like the Sunday prior to me going, the week before. He's like, yeah, I'm going up. If anything changes, I'll let you know. And that Tuesday, he was like, yeah, big emergency. I can't go. Yeah. I can't go. I'm sorry. I can't go. He said, things just fell into my lap. I can't go. Family call, whatever. And I'm not mad at him for it or anything like that. And I contacted another person I knew that wanted to go. I'm like, listen, I got the funds, admission, gas, on me. I got it. And they were like, okay, no problem. What time do you want? Head up that way. Haven't been that part of Hagerstown. We're going to have to go the back way because car issues. I can't take the highway. Their transmission on their vehicle is not adjusting right, so therefore got to go the back routes. Like, okay, I know the back routes. No problem. What time are we leaving? Probably close to 9 o'clock. That way, if we get lost, we can get there in plenty of time. Get up. I get up at like 6:45. Start getting, take my meds and everything else, and look at my phone, look at my tablet, and I have a text from that person at like 7:30, 7:45. I'm sick, can't go. I'm not going. So I went from high-end excitement to like everything, the whole energy that I had built up and ready to be there, and just sucked out of me. And it was like, Sasha saw the meme that I put up in regards to the show and everything else, saying, I feel like I failed you guys, my listener base and all that, what little there is. I feel like I failed you guys. I promised you at least something for today. I failed. I'm sorry. Things change. I'll delete this post, but I don't have a way to get them. Both my rides are not going. But thankfully, two folks stepped up. One is Wesley, who was in the area that day. He was doing some filming. He's like, I'm going to be in the area. I'll come down and pick you up and take you to 4State. I'm like, this was like at almost 9 o'clock, about an hour later. I'm not knocking Wesley at all. It's just like, yeah, we got you. But the Khan family came through. I'll put it like that. And it was just at that point, it was just like the energy was just being sucked out of mine. Like, I'm not going. I'm not saying it was darkness or depression. It's just that energy that was inside of me was just being rapidly getting sucked out. And Wesley was like, I'll get you up there. And that's when I had to try to recover myself to get that energy back. And thanks to George from PND Studios and EPG getting me back home and everything else. So special props to both of them if they either listening to this on the audio side or watching this on the video side. I can't thank you two enough to getting me there and back. It's just a lot of folks are like, oh, you're just they know it's coming from my heart. Sasha knows it's coming from my heart. And it's like, hey, I got, if you need me to give you gas money, I'll give you gas money. Both of them was like, nah, we got you. But it's just, I had a place to hang out at George's booth. I got to do the videos, got to see Sasha that day and her partner. And
boyfriend. I prefer not to use partner.
Okay. My bad. I'm sorry. It's just I try to use a lot of the neutral at my 9 to 5, I try to use a lot of the neutral terms in regards to everything because I don't know. So it's force of habit, Sasha. I hope you don't mind overall.
No. I'm just letting you know our preference.
Okay. It's just that I got a chance to hang out for the day. I didn't have that much funds overall to spend, but I got an autograph from Peter, who voices Goku, and Ralph from Ed, Ed, and Eddie. I didn't get all the content I wanted, but I got content I needed. I'm sure Sasha could at least understand that fact in regards to that. I had a good time speaking to folks, hanging out. It just reminded me of the first days of going to 4-State in Waynesboro. Just even though I know a lot of folks, I got to say hi, and I know I don't know your stance or your viewpoint of Miss Phoenix. She does a lot. She vends there. She's been having some issues and all that.
Miss Phoenix?
Yeah. I'm not sure what she goes by on. I'm just referring to her business name is Phoenix.
I think we're cool.
In regards to her stuff, just that she's been trying to get funds together because her kids are having medical issues, getting funds together. So it's like, all right, I'm going to put a link to your Facebook page on the video, and give me a card. That way I can have your information, and I'll put what YouTube allows without them considering that I'm actually doxing you. And that way, at least more people can have eyes on you. And if somebody wants to, order something from your, Facebook page or something like that, they're able to do that. And she was happy to do that. And, still get to speak in Bug Den Noakes and, see that whole aspect and having a good time and trying to come back from a low. And I got to speak to the usual band of I'm not saying, I mean it with love. The usual band of idiots in regards to the cosplayers, and hang out and speak to them and have more of a conversation with the more of the willing folks. I wish I'd had more time to film. The only downside was because of my rush to get out and catch Wes and get picked up by Wes, I left my phone at home. And at that time, I had shitty batteries with me. And after maybe about 5 or 6 videos, all 8 of my batteries died. I couldn't, no way of taking photos. So I have yet to rob the fan page to get all the photos and everything else. And hanging out with George and Dan and the gang on the way home, before coming home at one of the barbecue restaurants in town was just, it's like, hey, I never really got a chance to hang with, not just, I'm including George, but not including George. No offense to George. I'm sure he understands. It's just that on a higher level, it's like, well, Dan's a little bit of a bigger creator. It's like, I never really got a chance to hang out with Dan like this, in this type of situation. So it was just a treat, a special moment and having fun and still talking about it. And just, it's good to hear that they had another record year for a Saturday. Just that, yeah, they had, from what George was saying, that they had a few hiccups the day before, but still, your thought. I'll let you speak in regards to your little bit of time at 4-State.
Well, Saturday we got the most bit of time. I mean, we ran into a lot of people we knew. Obviously, Donnie Drum. Love to visit him. Still get the cold shoulder from his dad, but when I bear no bones of people who have bigoted views. But Donnie and I are cool, and I helped him out because him and the one guy he was helping with his booth, they look like crap. I'm like, you guys look tired. You guys need anything? So I went and got him some energy drinks. Ran into Fred Holt, the cosplayer, great guy. Recently had a heart transplant and everything else, so it was good to see him at con. Got a few pictures with him. The Ghostbusters crew there was not, thankfully, the usual hate-filled group, because those guys barely exist anymore. I think they have a Facebook presence, and that's about it. In fact, people who run the con asked me about them. I'm like, I haven't thought about them for 5 years, and I haven't ran into them for 5 years. I said, because that's what they get for fucking with me. And enough said on that. But the new guys out, I believe they were out of Baltimore or Maryland. Great guys. We got patches and pins from them. Got some pictures there. Looked at their equipment. They talked about the equipment I had on, because I was geared up for total Princess of Darkness look. Plus, I was going to go see Evil Dead, so had to have my shotgun in my Book of the Dead. Can't go and see Evil Dead without those necessary requirements. But so made my regular rounds, ran into George. It was funny because I kept running into George, but Pony wasn't there. That would be Josue. And then George would disappear, and then I could only see Josue. And I'm like, is there like a George suit somewhere that Pony's climbing in and out of? But it was a good time. I ran into people I knew, like Dan Noakes and Ken Hunt. Talked with Miko Hughes some. That was about it,
Same thing as I got to see Dan Hunt, speak to Dan Hunt, speak to Dan, speak to usual fun, usual band of fun idiots. Again, I mean that in the whole aspect of the group, and I just was the one I got to chance talking like puppies and doggos with. I'm trying to pull up the cosplayers' names. Hopefully,
I know Megami Cupcake was there.
Yeah, I saw
ran into her husband, which is in Curcio photography. I think
she was. I know she was there. She was there probably unofficially. Officially,
no. She was there officially, because
actually
Curcio was there, and they're kind of like tag team.
It was. I know.
And Colleen was there. I don't know if you ran into Colleen or not. She does a lot of local movies, but had recently moved to Pittsburgh, I believe. And it was funny because she runs into me. Why am I running into you here in Hagerstown? She's like, we seem to miss each other in Chambersburg, and anytime you're up in my neck of the woods, I'm down there.
I finally had a conversation with the cosplayer's Lanely Cat. Just speaking with her about doggos, and he's like, there was somebody like listening to us talk and all that, and talk about cosplay. It was unofficial, talk about doggos, cosplay, and all that. He's like, how do you two kind of know each other? You're talking like you've been like, I've been, working behind the scenes of Four State since the inception. And she's like, yeah, I've been since, since they first started here in Hagerstown, back in the other side of town. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I think this has been the first time we actually had a full-on conversation with each other that was not cosplay and everything else, and it was more official and unofficial and everything else. And he's like, wow. He was just like, I think this might have been the first time he had that experience, that con family, and how folks that are on the other side of the table actually that know each other, and just everything else. And just one of the things that George said is that even though Saturday had a big crowd, and it was, again, according to the folks behind Four State, that it was a record-breaking crowd. Just that, as George said, there's not many people shopping and buying; they were just showing up.
Yeah. But that's the thing with like most cons. Usually, at first day is your big day, and your Sunday is your slower day. And I don't think the rain helped much any on Sunday.
Right.
But as I always tell people, if you're used to working the con crowd, and I don't care what type of convention it is. It can be comic book, it can be video game, it can be just regular gaming, it could be movie convention. 99.9% of them sellers do not want to have to repack up most of that merchandise and take it home. Those are the days you get your deep discount is last day. Like
Right.
you go that first day, you roam around, you see if something catches your eye. And then on that Sunday, now usually you want to go later in the day, but sometimes you can work something out in the morning. You talk to them, go, hey, how was your sales on Saturday? I see you still have this. Is there any wiggle room now that you guys will be getting ready to leave? And sometimes they'll cut you a deal like, yeah, you know, I can bump $10 or $20 off of it because I don't feel like bringing this back home, you know.
Now, granted, it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes depending on the seller, the vendor, sometimes you can get a good deal on first day, whether it be if it's 2-day con Saturday, if it's a 3-day con Friday. It all depends on the vendor.
Yep.
Sometimes you can get a good deal just because they like your face. And you might not get a deal on the last day of a show just because they don't like your face. But like last year, one of the vendors, he's the one, I don't have it behind me. I should replace what's behind me with one of his works. He does a lot of like parody works. Like he had a Steve Urkel, like during an alien apocalypse type of wet with like huge did I do that 9,000 ray gun and stuff like that. And he did Ghostbusters versus Cenobites type of ordeal. Piece of artwork. I love it because it's Egon versus the Cenobites going up against them. And
technically that happened.
So, but yeah, I'm still, his artwork is very detailed, not uber detailed, but there's a lot to look at in the art. And last year for the artwork, he was like, Ashland's like, how much? Overall, I just need to know because overall, I'm going to be, my next words out of my mouth is shut up and take my damn money. And he's just like, normally it's 25. It's 20. So he's like, just because I know you, it's $20. Everybody else, it's, you know, granted, it's not much off, but still, you know, it's a little bit of a discount. And I still like bought I bought like $60 worth of stuff off of them. So it's still whatever. It's like, I'm giving you money here. Shut up, take my money, you know?
Well, for me, it was not only nice to like meet the Khan family or, you know, reacquaint with the Khan family, but sometimes it's nice not to be on the vendor side of things, you know, because
Right.
I've vended at a few cons. I have more than a few people. Oh, are you vending? I'm like, no, not this year. Maybe next year. And building up stock. Because whenever Sticker Mule has a sales, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to grab some of that, put that in the inventory, grab some of that, put that in the inventory. Because sometimes you'll get a deal. Like recently, they did those like 100 die cut stickers for like $20.
Right.
And yeah, it was a great way to talk people, promo the show. But the big thing for me is, and yes, as Al says, I'm utterly mushy. But when him and I had first started dating, you know, he knew that I worked a lot of conventions and shows, and he would intentionally come see me and hang out, which I always thought was cute. But he had never, other than his coming to see me, he had never experienced con appropriately. And so that was kind of like my big thing. Not only that, but being the sappy romantic I am, I found out that he was never, like when he was in high school, never asked to prom or any formal event. And since I already know he's going to go with me to Blobfest, it was like, okay, we already know our costumes are going to be formal wear. I'm not going to spoil them, but trust me, it's a movie you and I both love, and we've already discussed this.
I already know it. I'm not going to say it.
So I had witnessed way too many kids doing promposals at work, so I did a Blobfest posal. And I was like, hey, you know, and he's like, you're such a mushy, but yes, I'll go. But I'm like, you've never had that? I'm like, I need to fix that. So.
And the thing is, it's going to be one of those instances where if I start dating again and I take them or they take me to 4 State, there's definitely going to be questions. I could see that right now. It's like, how do all these people know you? Because even like, I think the person behind his name's Andrew. It's like, oh, good to see you here today. And it's like, yeah, great to be back. I was quoting Clerks the whole time. It's like, I didn't expect to be here today.
Wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Dang.
Me and my coworker quote that at work every night. I always say when he walks into the door, if I knew you were showing up, I would have came in later.
But it's the aspect of, I'm sure the cosplayers know who I am, or at least familiar with my face, that I'm there almost every year in one way or another. I know George. I know Dan shows up when he can, if he has time and all that. It's just the fact, like, going there with a partner and them saying, like, how do you know all these people? How do you know Dan by name? It's like, well, for one thing, I know Ken by name because his name's on all over his booth. Not to mention, he's been here. He's a 4-state staple for the past God knows how many years.
Exactly. And all the other cons. And he has running blogs about cons he gets rejected from.
Right.
I asked him if he ever gets accepted to Dragon Con, if he'll actually accept or turn him down.
Like I said, the thing is, just to see when I covered Baltimore back in 2019, me and Big Candy were at Billy Tucci's booth, because he was a part of the route. We're talking to Billy for a little bit, and here comes Ken. Hey, how you doing? By the way, did you draw that? I'm like, oh God, Ken didn't just do that, but Ken knows Billy. Like most of the big time artists, they all know each other. They all rib each other, and that's what they were doing back and forth. I'm like, oh, this is priceless. Just seeing these folks, and they was like, and having to explain to someone who's never been a part of that scene that I know these people, I follow these people, half these people are friends of mine on Facebook.
Yeah, this is like, or depending on when you go, because I'm thinking about going to Harrisburg this year, but this is like my twice a year family reunion.
Right. I haven't been to the one in Harrisburg yet. Part of me wants to. The thing is, Fridays and Saturdays are the busy days for me. Mm-hmm. Part of me wants to, I know George has said, I'll come down and get you if need be. But part of me wants to go just to be there one of these days, be in Harrisburg for 4-state both days and just do what I do, hang out all day and all that. I know I could probably get off for that. Like I could probably get off at for Main Street. Just that right now, I just want to focus on me for right now, and hopefully, I know I spoke to my initial ride. He said, "Yep, next year we're all going to be there. Try to be there next year and just cause mass chaos, like we normally do. And hopefully, it's the fun time. I know we had fun last year. Matt last year was our candy man. Mm-hmm. The reason I say that is because last year, me and Big Candy were sitting in our booth. We'd be like, yeah, we heard. This was like day one. We were sitting there. It's like, yeah, Matt's sitting in our booth. He set up, with Matt Burn, different Matt Burn.
Yeah.
And no, so it's like we say his name. Here comes strolling down the line. Hi guys, it's Matt. I'm like, yeah, speak of the devil, he arrives. And we were talking about somebody else, and they brought up Matt Byrne, and 5 seconds later, Matt Burns comes around the corner. I'm like, what the hell, Matt? The second time we say your name out loud, you show up. What that? Just, ribbing Matt and rib Matt. We're family. We rib each other. That's what we do. And I didn't get a chance because I didn't have the energy this year. I wanted to kind of speak with the guys with the Ghostbusters, take the photo, and do the photos because I think the photos were free that they were doing. And since I didn't have my phone, which was able to do QR codes, I was, a little bit skeptical of doing the whole photo thing, because I needed my phone. I didn't have my phone. It was like,
I will do it
I
next
feel
year.
so, but next year I'll do it. I'll have better batteries next year. One of these days, if I know ahead of time, I'm going to snag at least a box of better batteries, like the REBOOT better instead of the slow use batteries. At least get something better at Big Lots or something like that, or Walmart months prior. That way I could toss them in my backpack. Just this is just one. It was a roller coaster that day for me. It wasn't until almost midway through I felt at home.
Yep.
I felt at home and it felt comfortable. Sitting behind the booth, I pick up some stuff again. I got the autograph from Peter, the voice actor. I got a couple of prints off for George. 2 prints. It was the Dolly Spartan parody poster, and his limited edition con exclusive, his Ed and Eddie parody poster that he did just for 4 State that year, or say this year. So I was like, I gotta pick it up. He was like, yeah, they're $5. It was on sale for $5. I'm like, I just want the 2. I want this one and this one. There you go. There's $10. Shut up.
I think for me now, because it was just, don't get me wrong, it was a great con.
Right.
But we had a stacked weekend because, like I said, it was date weekend. We had Evil Dead. We wanted to do the Hagerstown thing because Crumpy's Donuts is a must. He wanted to take me out for steak dinner. I'm not going to say no to that. And so it was just stacked,
Yeah,
and yep. We basically, it's like I told him, I said, this is a con. I'm going in an official capacity. Like if I see people who recognize me or ask me questions, I'll have my stickers on hand to hand out. And believe it or not, I did give out a good stack of them. I even gave George some to hand out, and it was just a good experience. I look forward to next year.
Same way. It's just that somebody was asking if I was a podcaster and all that because they saw the equipment I was setting up, and if I was in more of a mindset of it, I gave them a card and asked them to be a part of the intro. It was just that trying to get that energy back. And yes, 4 State can give you that. A good con can give you that energy, but when you're running on E and that's energy is going, not just running on E, but your tank is
tapped
on fumes. It's not just tapped on fumes. That it's almost that prior to Wes coming to pick me up, I was like, almost equivalent saying, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go back to bed and just break down. I'm not an emotional person. It's like, I'm just going.
No sooner did Wes hit your page, I was trying to message you and say, look, we at least know there's a way to get you back if you get down here somehow. Because me and George and Josue were already talking. In fact, all 3 of us were pinging each other like, have you gotten a hold of Chris? Have you gotten a hold of Chris? I don't know what's going on with Chris because Wes just hit him up online. And it was comical.
Yeah, just that when Wes said, I told him, Wes I'll meet him in essence at Anthony's, because instead of him trying to bob and weave to where I'm located at, I said, gave him the address to Anthony's, so it's an easy in, easy out. And when I said I could be at this location about 15 minutes, and he said I'll meet you there. And it was like I got to grab I was already dressed and ready to go. Except I'm putting on my vest and just heading out the door and I was just like, oh, I got to grab my stuff and go. By the way, it's raining. I can't bring my tablet with me. So I was like, that's how I was talking to you. I was talking to the West was through my tablet. I forgot about my phone. That's why I was like, I just got to grab my stuff, go. So that way I don't miss West. I'm not late. It wasn't until I got to Anthony's Pizza for the pickup, I go like, I wonder if Wes texted me. I wonder if he missed me. I go touch my pocket to grab my phone. I'm like, where's my phone? shit, I left it at home. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm not going back, because if I go back and come back, Wes is going to be here wondering where the frig I'm at. And I'm not going to do that. I'm staying right here. I'm staying right here. But still, that was the only.
It's a good story, and it shows what Con Family is all about.
Right. It is. It is. And over the years, I've come to know the multiple sides of that table. A lot of folks out there are going, what do you mean? It's like, I knew about Con Family because as a ticket holder, there is Con Family, but it's guest Con Family. You see the same faces every year that go. So therefore, they could be, everybody's going the same year, same thing. So you see a lot of familiar faces.
Just like a regular family, you got that weird, crazy uncle. You got the really chill people.
And
you got the one everybody tells you not to go near, which is usually me.
But and me doing what I'm doing with the Long Coat Mafia podcast and being a vendor at Forest State, I got to know the other side of the table and that Con Family, which is a deeper Con Family. I got to know the ins and outs of cons and hearing the vendors talk and everybody else and making connections and knowing people and knowing guests and everything else.
This is what I think is funny, because everybody talks about like after con parties. It's a whole different ball game when you're at the after con parties with the vendors.
I haven't been to one of those yet. Just maybe one of these days I'll. I know Facebook and YouTube hate the word it went. One of these days I'll have to see if I could do like Saturday, like a Forest State Saturday and Sunday off, and maybe this year at Harrisburg, see if George is still willing to come down and pick me up, and I'll set a couple of stuff aside to be able to go.
Well, I hate to say it, but I've already got the 411 on the after party there.
And that way I could actually go to the after party and hang out with everybody, the vendor side of things, and it's something that
all going to Love Drafts, which is just on down the road at Mechanicsburg, and that place is off the bomb. Lovecraft themed brew pub.
Me being a type 2, I have to pretty much try to limit my alcohol intake.
They have non-alcoholic options. Plus, food. It's good.
So it's one of those things. I have to speak to a few people and see who's willing to come down and pick me up, and what I need to do to help compensate and everybody and all that fun jazz. And if anything,
Al lives in Carlisle. We're like 15 minutes. If we do August, you're covered. Don't even sweat it.
So it's that sort of thing. It's like, if anything, it's like, if you guys are staying up there, it's like in a hotel, it's like, just give me a pillow and a chair, I'll be fine. Or give me a pillow in the corner of the room, I'll be okay. I'll just curl up in a ball like a cat.
Well, we're already cleaning the apartment, so it's fine. We'll figure it out.
So it's just a matter of this time around actually making sure I have everything. And one of the things I'm planning on getting is not just some extra batteries for my camera that I use, but I'm thinking of going through one of these sites that does like custom shirts. It's going to be a custom jersey with the show's logo on it, and on the back is going to be Podfather. So
I like it. I hope there's an opening for that one too.
And part of the logo is going to have a little bit. It's not just going to have the what you see for my show, and it's going to have the Long Coat Mafia podcast, but underneath it, I'm going to see how it looks with the internet. Me adding the tagline, "The Internet's Most Hated Mafia Themed Geek Podcast," so people actually know it's a podcast, not something gang related. And
no, we'll just get you a gold chain and some fake grills. It'll be fine. Get beat up your little mustache, beard.
I'll bring that my steampunk hat. I forgot it this year. Like I said, it's one of the things I forgot. I was going to wear this year. It's like my little steampunk hat with the steampunk goggles a part of it, and I just wanted to get out the door. I forgot my phone, forgot the hat. Actually, I wore the hat, but not the hat that I wanted to wear. So
But
it was
it was
just like,
last minute, and it still came
Yeah.
together, and that's what
Yeah.
matters.
I had fun. Even you were part of my video in regards to the intro. So,
But anyways, we could talk about this forever, but I'm gonna have to cut it short because I got to go to the blood doctor. Unfortunately,
the
I don't know if
vampires.
they're taking or putting in or both tomorrow.
You have to speak to the vampires, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're either taking in or putting out. I might as well install a tap. But anyways, this, of course, has been Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness. And as we like to say around here, creep it real, take scare, and unpleasant screams.